everyone, my name's Evie and welcome to my channel. Today we are back with hopefully the final installation of the first episode of Tyrion Cuthbert. We are finally going to court and defending Celeste and trying to prove that she didn't murder her father. I'm super stoked to get on it immediately, so we're just gonna jump straight on in. Alright, it's time. Hello, Cuthbert. Oh, hi, Miss Tamara. You're a lot less jumpy than you were yesterday. I'm glad to see that you're finally getting used to things. So, what did you find in your investigation? You tell Miss Tamara about everything you've learned over your investigation. There aren't a lot of clues that point to what actually happened. Yeah. I know a lot of details about the crime scene, but nothing about the crime itself. This means I'll have to rely solely on pointing out contradictions in the witnesses' testimonies. Being reactive to the prosecution's moves is a valid strategy. Honestly, I think it was a miracle that you got the commander to cooperate with you at all. Right, you almost forgot. Commander White appears to really have it out for Miss Tamara. Actually, I wanted to ask about that. Did something happen between you and Commander White? Miss McCoy, please proceed to the courtroom with your counsel. Let's go, Tyrion. The trial's about to start. You should go. The judge is waiting. Right. Another secret is left buried between you two. Court is now resumed for the trial of Celeste McCoy. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. Yesterday, the defense presented some shocking oversights made during the investigation. Yes, I personally saw to it that the investigation was conducted properly this time. I see. I suppose that puts my mind at ease. At yesterday's trial, we found an inconsistency between the crime scene photo and the autopsy report. Because of this, the defense tried to push the following narrative: that a third party must have interfered with the crime scene to frame the defendant. However, the prosecution has discovered another explanation. Because of that, the individual who discovered the body would like to testify as to what he saw that night. His eyewitness account will clear up what actually happened. Interesting. It was my understanding that the individual in question wanted to remain anonymous. Supposedly, this witness was within the gallery of the trial yesterday. After yesterday's proceedings, he felt that he couldn't stay silent any longer. So that's her plan. But why would the witness change his mind like that? Did Steelwind persuade him? Or is something else happening here? Very well. Let's hear from this witness. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. My name is Reese Reginald Rudolph. Oh, all yours. I'm a chauffeur of the equine variety. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm unfamiliar with that profession. He means to say that he's a carriage driver. Oh, I see. But in any case, it is my understanding that you found the body. Am I correct, Mr. Rudolph? Rudolph appears to be writing something in a notebook. He writes with incredible speed. His pen only touches the paper for maybe a second before he's filled an entire page. Mr. Rudolph. Forgive me. I was merely taking notes on the people in this room. Taking notes? The witness has a certain compulsion to keep a record of every event that he witnesses. I see. Then I assume we will receive an accurate testimony of how you found the body. Actually, I witnessed much more than that. I saw the crime as it was being committed, and I wrote down everything that I saw. What? That is quite the claim. If that's true, why did you choose to remain silent until now? We had initially concluded that the evidence alone was decisive enough. Therefore, we saw no need at the time for his testimony. However, those circumstances clearly changed during yesterday's trial. There's no way the prosecution wouldn't leverage eyewitness testimony from the start. Something else is happening here. Very well. Mr. Rudolph, please testify to the court about what you saw that night. I was transporting a client in my carriage that evening. We were driving by the McCoy Tavern when we heard a disturbance. This occurred at 1:28 a.m. Worried that something was amiss, I walked into the establishment to see what the commotion was about. There I saw the defendant. She was lit by the blue glow of the dining room lights. He had stabbed Flintheart McCoy and was channeling magic into her sword. She removed her sword from Flintheart's chest. As he slowly turned to face her, she stabbed him again in the front. She soon realized that I had witnessed her heinous crime. She let the body fall to the ground and fled the scene. Incredible. If everything occurred as the witness described, then I see no room for debate. Of course, the evidence has always been irrefutable. You don't remember seeing him when you left to look for Celeste, but it was pretty dark. Celeste, did you see this man that night? No, this is my first time meeting him, and I didn't see him when I ran out the tavern that night. So he has to be lying. Does that mean he's the one who killed my dad? She tries her best to hide it, but you can sense her restlessness. It's hard to say right now, but it's definitely a possibility. The defense may now begin their cross-examination. A blue glow of dining room lights. Lights can't have worked.
Objection!
Mr. Rudolph, you testified that you saw my client murdering the victim, and you supposedly saw her casting magic while doing so. Yes, I could never forget such a grisly sight. That moment was burned into my memory. I see. Well, it's funny that you say that. How so? Because your entire testimony was a complete lie. Full circle. What? Are you accusing the witness of perjury? Surely you know that such accusations can't be made lightly, Mr. Cuthbert. My accusation is far from baseless, Prosecutor Steelwind. Take a look at this report. The dining room lights are artificery devices that are powered by an arcane power cell. However, that same arcane power cell was broken during the time of the murder. The dining room lights had no energy, and the room would have been pitch black. The witness couldn't have seen anything, much less a homicide. Wait, I can explain. There's no need, witness. You could have easily seen another source of light. Perhaps one of the McCoys lit a candle because of the blackout. The witness clearly described a source of blue light. A candle or lantern wouldn't emit a colour like that. Then the witness was clearly mistaken. The witness records everything he sees in his notebook. He even remembers the exact time that each event occurred. So why would he be incorrect about such a clear and obvious detail? No, what the witness saw was clearly some form of magic. And due to the lack of power, it couldn't have been artificery. It must have been an arcane spell. That's it. What is it, witness? I must have made an incorrect assumption. Please allow me to revise my testimony. What do you think of this, Prosecutor Steelwind? If the witness wants to revise his testimony, then I see no harm in obliging him. And you, Mr. Cuthbert? If he thinks he saw something different, then it's only fair to hear him out. You'll tear through each of his lies no matter what he does. I remember now, yesterday it was revealed that Flintheart was killed using magic. I must have seen Flintheart's daughter channeling a magic spell. The spell was called Mageblade, am I correct? That's it. The blue glow that I saw must have been created by Mageblade. I see. So the blue light that you saw came from the defendant's magic. Mr. Cuthbert, you may proceed with your cross-examination. With pleasure. Yellow radiant glow. There we go.
Objection!
Mr. Rudolph, you don't know much about magic, do you? Of course not. Are you trying to say that I should have recognized Celeste's mage blade? No, I admit that you probably wouldn't know about mage blade. But that's exactly where your mistake was. My mistake? Mr. Rudolph, if you were aware of how mage blade works, then you would know that the spell emits a yellow radiant glow. Which means the blue glow you saw couldn't have possibly been mage blade. This is ridiculous. I'll grant you that the witness clearly remembers seeing a blue glow. But what significance could such a minor detail have? It's extremely significant, Prosecutor Steelwind. If the witness did see a blue magical glow, then he must have witnessed another spell at the scene. Preposterous. You don't have any evidence to back up that claim. That blue light made a large impression on the witness. He wrote it down in his book, and he specifically mentioned the colour. There's no way he would be mistaken about something like that. So what did you really see, Mr. Rudolph? Did you see my client at the scene casting a spell that she couldn't possibly cast? Or did you see another mage at the scene? Well... Your Honour, the defence has no right to accuse the witness like this. Let me remind you that perjury is a crime, Mr. Rudolph. If you are found to have lied in your testimony, you will be prosecuted. No, wait, please. Now that is quite enough of that. Garrick Pierce suddenly steps down from the gallery and walks to the witness stand. He's breaking every possible rule in the book, but no one in the room moves to stop him. The bailiff looks to the judge nervously, but the judge just narrows his eyes and carefully watches Pierce. Pierce, meanwhile, shoves the still flustered Rudolph off of the stand and begins addressing the courtroom. What is he even doing here? I will not stand by while you harass my servant. Pierce, we discussed this. There is no need for you to take the stand. And what, pray tell, did they discuss? Nonsense, I have nothing to hide. And if you had done your job properly, I wouldn't have needed to intervene. For the first time, Steelwind doesn't seem to have control of the situation. What is the meaning of this, Miss Steelwind? Who is this man? This is Garrick Pierce, Your Honour. That is Lord Garrick Pierce to you, Steelwind. I'm the honourable heir to the Pierce noble house. In any case, I must apologise. I'm afraid that these misunderstandings are entirely my fault. What do you mean? You see, Rudolph wasn't the one who witnessed the crime that fateful night. It was me. I was the one who witnessed the crime. I had my driver report the body so that I could remain anonymous. What? Are you saying that you had Rudolph lie for you? I simply dictated to him what I saw and had him repeat that to law enforcement. It simply wouldn't do for a member of the nobility to appear publicly in court. Lord Pierce, regardless of your intentions, this is a very clear act of perjury. But from the look on the judge's face, you can easily tell that he won't face any actual consequences. I understand, and I will accept the consequences of that. But I would be remiss if Rudolph's shoddy testimony allowed that girl to escape her crimes. Please let me testify as to what I saw that night. Very well. This is highly irregular, but I believe the court will benefit from hearing your testimony. However, know that this misconduct has hurt your credibility. Very well. On the night of the murder, I found myself unable to sleep, so I went on a leisurely carriage ride around Cornhaven. I happened to be passing by the McCoy Tavern when I heard a loud commotion from within the building. Curious, I stopped my carriage and took a single step inside the establishment. Then I saw the scene inside. I saw the defendant stabbing that poor man twice with her sword. Garrick Pierce, he's a member of the nobility. That means he's probably a mage, right? And he's the only other mage that was there that night. That mean... There's no doubt about it. He's the only person that could have left a trace of transmutation on the body. He has to be the mage that we're looking for. Sorry, this must be a lot for you right now. Don't worry about me. Focus on taking him down. I'm guessing this commotion was the argument between my client and the victim. One would conclude that, yes. As we all know, both of them became quite loud during their argument. It's not unreasonable to say that the witness heard them from his carriage. But I saw him after they'd argued. If he was at the tavern entrance, then that would mean he was here. You saw the entire scene from the tavern entrance. It would be quite dark considering that the lights weren't operational, even if my client was using Mage Blade at the time. Of course, I'd forgotten that detail. I couldn't see what was happening, so I used my magic to illuminate the scene. You used magic at the crime scene? Yes, I remember it clearly. I conjured a blue light to illuminate the scene. That same blue light must have been what my driver saw. I thought that Rudolph didn't witness the crime at all. If I had to guess, Mr. Rudolph must have seen the blue light from the carriage. He must have made that detail a part of his testimony earlier. That actually makes a lot of sense now that you think about it. Rudolph was so sure that he saw a blue light. It would be strange if he was lying about that. But anyways, which spell did you use to illuminate the crime scene? It was the Conjure Light spell. 15 feet. Your Honor, if the witness used magic at the crime scene, then I'd like for his spell compendium to be added to the court record. I see no reason to invade the witness's privacy over a trivial illumination spell. I agree. The defense would need a stronger reason to requisition the witness's spell compendium. Right you are, Your Honor. Your wisdom is truly fitting of your station. Oh, shut up. Okay, no. Oh, where's the... Okay. 5 feet. So, 15 feet. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, he couldn't have. Presents.
Objection!
Lord Pierce, you said that you illuminated the scene from the tavern entrance, and you only took a single step into the building. Of course. I remember it very clearly. I stood only at the entrance. In that case, I'd like for you to take a look at the map of the tavern. If we take a look at this map, that would place you right here where the W is. Am I correct? Of course I was. I do not know what you wish to achieve by having me repeat that fact. Well, I find it interesting that you illuminated the crime scene from all the way back there, considering that Conjure Light only illuminates an area within 15 feet. What? The spell's range is irrelevant. We've already established that the victim would have been illuminated by Mage Blade. During his testimony, Lord Pierce clearly stated that he couldn't see what was happening. That's why he cast Conjure Light in the first place. However, Conjure Light doesn't work like a normal source of light. It only provides illumination up to 15 feet of the caster and no further. If he had stayed at the entrance, his spell wouldn't have done anything to help illuminate the scene. But what does this mean? Lord Pierce, did you illuminate the crime scene or not? Well, I can answer that question for you, Your Honor. Lord Pierce did illuminate the scene of the crime. He illuminated it because he was standing right where it happened. Mr. Cuthbert, are you trying to say that Lord Pierce was that close to where the murder occurred? How would that be possible? Well, there's only one way this scenario would make sense, Your Honor. And that would be if Garrick Pierce was the one who murdered Flintheart McCoy. Hold on for a moment. This is absurd. I could have easily used a different spell to illuminate the room. And which spell would that be, Pierce? The name escapes me. I'm not sure which one it was now that I think about it. You idiot. Well, maybe we can figure it out together when you relinquish your spell compendium to the court. What? This is a clear violation of my privacy. Steelwind, why aren't you objecting to this? If you had listened to my instructions, you wouldn't be in this situation. You've made your bed, now lie in it. Steelwind, you treacherous... That's enough. It appears that the prosecution has no objections. With everything that has occurred, I must ask that Lord Pierce relinquish his spell compendium to the court. Yummy. Good job, Tyrion. We got his spell compendium. With that, this case is as good as yours. Or is it? He didn't even try to stop you from taking his spell compendium. She wouldn't let that happen just to spite Lord Pierce. He definitely still has something up her sleeve. Your Honor, I've looked at the spells in Lord Pierce's compendium. Conjure Light is the only spell that he can cast that would shed a blue light. This renders his testimony and many of his statements false. Oh, that is a face and a half, my boy. You can practically hear Lord Pierce grinding his teeth. I mean, you can practically see it too. Your Honor, Lord Pierce could very well be a suspect in the murder of Flintheart McCoy. The defense argues that this presents enough reasonable doubt to acquit the defendant. I acknowledge that Lord Pierce's actions are quite suspect. However, I will not pass a verdict just yet. There is much more we need to learn. What? That's not how it works. We proved there's reasonable doubt. That should be enough to acquit me, right? In a normal case, maybe, but it's different for this trial. The public won't accept an unsolved homicide involving magic. Unless we can unequivocally prove your innocence, the court will keep drawing out the case. What? But that's not fair. That's just how the system works. Our court system doesn't exist to exact justice. It exists so that the kingdom can save face. No. However, the court will be suspending the trial of Celeste McCoy until further notice. That is, until Lord Pierce can be investigated as a possible suspect.
Objection!
A possible suspect? The very idea of that is preposterous, Your Honor. Damn it, you knew she was planning something. Let's revisit the basic facts of this case, shall we? Flintheart McCoy was murdered using a blade with a transmutation spell active on it. Mr. Cuthbert, why don't you tell me the spells that Lord Pierce knows? Alright. His spells are Prestidigitation, Conjure Light, Conjure Water, Frost Wave, and Shape Liquid. You've realised it too, haven't you? Lord Pierce doesn't know any transmutation spells that can be channeled through a solid object. Shape Water, he can freeze it. It was an ice sword. What? That can't be right. I don't know if it's right. I need to go back and read the spell. I'm going to go back and read the spell real quick. See? Shape Liquid. Transmutation. You can freeze the liquid and solidify its current shape. Eat all of the eggs. You're right. You're absolutely right, Lady Steelwind. I couldn't have possibly committed the murder. I see. With that in mind, that would leave the defendant as the only possible killer. No, it doesn't, you... I'll behave. But he was the only other mage there. He has to be the real murderer. But he doesn't know any transmutation spells that can affect a solid object. We can't prove that he stabbed him while casting magic. Yes, we can! Wait a minute. How did he do it then? She's right. How did he do it? If there are traces of transmutation magic on the wound, then Flintheart was definitely stabbed by something magical. But none of his transmutation spells can affect a steel blade. Does that mean that he used something else? No spit. The defense did cast some doubt on this witness's testimony. Nevertheless, I must conclude that he could not have possibly committed the murder. Objection! With that in mind... Please wait, Your Honour. We still can't conclude that Lord Pierce couldn't have committed the crime. What are you on about? Lady Steelwind said it herself, you commoner. I don't know any spells that can be channeled through a metal blade. He's right, which can only mean one thing. You didn't use a metal blade, did you? What nonsense is this? The autopsy report clearly states that the wound was created by a blade. If he didn't channel magic through a blade, how could he have possibly committed the crime? Yes, your claim seems quite contrary to the facts thus far, Mr. Cuthbert. Which spell could Lord Pierce have possibly used to kill the victim? There we go. I know this one. Me. I know. This one. You see, Your Honour? Garrick Pierce didn't kill the victim using a sword. He killed him using an object shaped exactly like a sword. What? I'm afraid I don't quite understand, Mr. Cuthbert. I'd like for the court to take a look at Lord Pierce's spell compendium. Garrick Pierce knows a seemingly insignificant spell called Shape Liquid. With it, he can control a body of water and shape it into any complex shape he wants. Then he can freeze that liquid, maintaining its current shape. A shape like a sword. What? No! Is it possible that he... What do you have to say for yourself, Lord Pierce? What do I have to say? Pierce's breathing becomes more frantic. He's clearly not used to being put in a corner like this. You can see his stress and frustration emanating through the eye of Horus. You have him now. Time for the finishing blow. I'll tell you exactly what I have to say, you commoner. I'm not the one on trial here. We're here because that bastard child didn't know her place. She's just a peasant, yet she still learned the arcane arts. And look what happened. That girl used our holy arts to murder her father in a fit of rage. I mean... Okay. And how, pray tell, did you see everything? If you recall, you testified that you only took a single step inside the inn, but you would have needed to be within 15 feet to see my client with conjure light. This again? If you're going to keep treading on that one detail, then I admit it, I stepped further into the inn. I kept that detail out of my testimony. All because I knew that you'd use it to cast suspicion on me. Lord Pierce! But you didn't just keep that detail from your testimony, did you? You testified the opposite. That makes you guilty of committing perjury. No, I mean... Ugh, you miserable wretch. And let's not stop there. For your story to be true, you would have needed to be within 15 feet of my client. According to your testimony, my client had just finished committing a murder. Wouldn't she have noticed you? Aye. If you were that close, then you would have surely been close enough to apprehend her. So why didn't you? Don't you have a duty to your citizens? Shut up! Shut your dirty peasant mouth! That woman was armed. I had no reason to put my life in danger. I was terrified when I saw her holding that bloody sword. My life was in danger. No? Hang on. So, the sword was in him. Yeah. So... But that can't be right, can it, Lord Pierce? This photo of the crime scene shows that the sword was left in the victim's body. How could she still be wielding her sword if she left it there? What? Damn you, damn you! Steelwind, why aren't you saying anything? What? Prosecutor Steelwind has lost her usual air of confidence. You find it strange, though. Even when you had the advantage, she always maintained her usual poise. Lord Pierce, please pull yourself together. How can I remain calm when this charlatan is trying to frame me? This is a complete travesty of our justice system. And what do I get instead? Slander from some lowly defense attorney. I came here to reveal the truth and testify against that criminal. Oh, I mean... Okay, no, you committed perjury. Reveal the truth. Yeah, you committed perjury. No, you didn't. You talk about justice, but you've committed several acts of perjury to twist the outcome of this trial. You're clearly not acting in good faith. You don't care about justice, you just want to further your agenda. So admit it, Pierce. You created a makeshift sword using shaped liquid and you used it to impale Flintheart. You shoved my client's sword into the wound while the remnants of the real murder weapon evaporated. It was a perfect crime, wasn't it? What? Lord Pierce. My apologies, Your Honor. It's just that I realized something absolutely hilarious. Of what? Has he finally lost his mind? The defense put forward an interesting theory, but there's one problem with it. And what's that? I think you said it yourself. You shoved Celeste's sword into the wound while the remnants of the real murder weapon evaporated. It was a perfect crime, wasn't it? You see, it would have been a perfect crime, because any evidence to support that theory would have evaporated with that frozen blade. What? No. He's right. If he used an ice blade to kill Flintheart, it would have evaporated by now. Then that means there would be nothing left of the murder weapon. You crazy, crazy boy. Sorry, man, you're older than I am. You've spun quite the tale here today, but in the end, you don't have a shred of evidence to support it, do you? You have nothing on me. Isn't there anything we can do? You become quiet. Tyrion! But all it takes is one look at the expression on your face. Any worry she has instantly disappears, because she realizes the expression on your face? It's the same expression you made every time you defeated her. What is this? You can glare at me all you want. It won't change the fact that you've lost. I despise people like you. You twist the system to serve your own ends. You trample on the lives of innocent people. But as long as I'm here, I will never let that happen again.
Naught can remain concealed.
Oh, what did I just do? Your head feels like it's about to burst. The pain is unbearable and overwhelming, but at the same time, you feel an extreme sense of clarity, as if you can see more than you could before. Once again, you see Pierce's thoughts through the eye of Horus, but this sensation feels different from how it usually is. It's more intense and potent this time. It's almost as if you can do more than just read his surface-level thoughts. Okay, so let's go with this one first. Why am I thinking of such a thing? That piece of evidence didn't evoke any useful thoughts from him. Alright. Maybe you'll see something if you project pieces of evidence related to the murder. Okay, fair enough. I was kind of hoping it might. Let's go with the sword first. What an ornate sword. I wonder how a commoner like her obtained such a thing. I wonder if the Inquisition will let me have it once the girl is convicted. This doesn't give you anything that you can use. You should try something else. Okay. I just get to play with stuff. Okay. After all the trouble I went to, I can't believe that lawyer figured out the spell I used. Well, no matter. It's not as if there's any evidence to prove that I used it. I'm lucky that old fool had that bottle of water with him. Water from a bottle. Wait, a bottle. Well then, as riveting as this has been, I believe it's time for me to make my leave. I think that said take my leave. Now, wait a minute, Pierce. What is it now, you wretch? I'll say it as many times as you need to hear. There is no evidence of a liquefied weapon at the crime scene. You're right, Pierce. If you did use shaped liquid on a body of water, the murder weapon would have evaporated entirely. It seems you've finally gotten that fact through your thick head. Bravo. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, Pierce. What if you didn't use shaped liquid on a body of water? What if it was another type of liquid? What are you going on about? Pierce, shaped liquid doesn't just work on water. It works on all kinds of liquids. This shattered bottle contained the liquid that you cast your spell on, didn't it? You show him the picture of the shattered bottle of lotus juice. That bottle. Pierce, I found this shattered bottle on the ground near the victim's body. I wonder what caused it to shatter. You must have decided to use any liquid you could find. Luckily for you, the victim was holding the perfect quantity of liquid in his hands. I wonder, Lord Pierce, if we had someone analyze the broken pieces of this bottle, would we find traces of transmutation magic? You little... That still proves nothing. So what if there are traces of magic on the shattered bottle? You still don't have a murder weapon. I wasn't finished, Pierce. What? You see, the liquid contained in this bottle wasn't water. It was soda. So, what difference does that make? A blade of ice made out of water would have evaporated entirely, but a blade of ice made out of soda would leave a puddle of dried residue. No, it can't be. I'd wondered why there was such a circular trace of magic under the body. If we checked the outline of that trace, I bet we'd find a dried puddle of soda residue. That would prove that you used your magic on that soda. There's your murder weapon, Pierce. And that's checkmate. Bailiff, tell Orem to analyze the crime scene at once. We must determine if this puddle of soda residue exists. The time window to find traces of magic is closing. So, we had our team search the crime scene for that soda puddle. I really can't believe it, but we found it. In fact, the outline of the dried soda lines up exactly with the outline of the trace of transmutation magic. We checked the broken bottle too. There were traces of transmutation magic on it as well. There's no doubt about it. Someone used magic on that soda. I see. Thank you, Orem. Please escort Lord Pierce back to the stand. Oh, his big, goofy face. What do you have to say for yourself, Pierce? What do you think you've accomplished here today? Do you honestly think you can indict me? I'm an aristocrat from the highest echelons of our society. That fool of a man was an insurgent. He was a threat to society, and I did my civic duty by removing him.
Objection!
Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. Steelwind. First-degree murder is punishable by execution, Lord Pierce. I suggest you remain silent, lest you incriminate yourself further. What? You can't be serious. Shut your insidious mouth. Well, what are you all waiting for? Take him away. Yes, take him away at once. I can't believe it. We actually won. Tyrion, It's all she can do to hold back her tears. You don't need to say anything. Your face says it all. Thank you. You've more than exceeded my expectations today. Miss Tamora, I'll be honest, when I realized that the murder weapon evaporated, I thought that the case was shot. I can't believe you were able to turn that around. It was just luck. If he had used water, we would have been done for. It had nothing to do with luck. You were able to deduce which liquid he used, and you did it just by looking at a few shards of broken glass. Your skills of deduction never cease to amaze me. That's not exactly true, but with Celeste there, you can't tell her about your new ability. You are all quite lively. Oh, there's no need for such hostility, though I wouldn't expect any less from the Hound of the Eye Taker. Wait, what did she mean by that? You glance at Mr. Mora, but when she meets your gaze, she immediately looks away. It looks like she's focusing, almost as if to protect herself from a certain eye. I must admit, I was hoping to test my blade against you directly. However, your protege proved to be a worthy adversary. Thank you? This is some kind of game to you. You talk about trials as if they're some kind of competition. Your action almost condemned an innocent woman to death. Our system operates by having two powers of opposition. When those powers are balanced, justice prevails. Make no mistake, your victory today was just our system working as intended. Working as intended? You know very well our system only exists to protect your people. I know. What? In any case, it looks like we'll be facing each other more frequently in future. I look forward to doing battle with you again, Tyrion Cuthbert. What a strange girl. Well, that kind of killed the mood, didn't it? Not at all. I think we should celebrate. Oh? What did you have in mind? There's this amazing restaurant in the upper quarter of the capital city. They usually only serve nobles, but they let anyone in if they have enough gold. Wait, do we have enough gold? Of course we do. Don't worry about the details. I'll handle everything. Wait, just how much money does Mr. Mora make? And so began my journey into the world of law and magic. Our justice system is rotten to its core, and I'll have many trials ahead. Regardless, I'll keep fighting on and get justice for every one of my clients. All right, guys, that is where we are leaving it for today. That was such a fun turnaround and such a fun resolution to the trial. I really enjoyed the integration of another mechanic, the using the empowered eye to sort of get some insights into your opponent. I thought that was just a really neat little thing that they've put in. Naturally, anyone who's looking at this game as sort of a spiritual partner to the Ace Attorney series, they might be a little disappointed. I mean, this is sort of a smaller game with a smaller budget, and the Ace Attorney series, big game, big budget, big studio. But oh my goodness, this is just so much fun. There's enough here to just be maybe not unique, but it definitely has a unique spin, and I'm having so much fun with it. I'm really enjoying this, and I hope you're enjoying it too. Yes, if you did enjoy this as much as I have, please leave a like and a subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. And make sure you ring that notification bell so you know what's coming next on the channel. Thank you so much for exploring this game with me today. I cannot wait to get back into it. I will be putting out the next episode and the next case in the not too distant future. I'm so excited to be getting back into it at some point very, very soon. But yes, thank you again so much for being on this journey with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. This feeling, I knew it. His radiant soul has finally awakened. I can't believe it. I've been waiting for so long. I can't wait for the day when I can see his eyes draped in agony.